Hey, hi guys, Carla Gericke here from the west side of Manchester on a snowy Monday. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm coming to you at a strange time because I have a 4 p.m. board meeting for the Free State Project, which will run long. You may have noticed or may not have noticed, I did not make it last week. There were several reasons for that. But anyway, I'm back here with the Independents on this Monday for our Monday report. It's 28 degrees here in Manchester. It is Monday, 2/23. Anarchapulco down in Puerto Vallarta is blowing up. So many of my brethren and friends are out there. I hope you will all take care. I mean those words choicely. Taking care is better than staying safe. It's a different mindset. So really just kind of want to put that out there. It is a snow day. We have, oh my gosh, folks, we have so much snow this winter. I have 2 doggos currently in the house. Penny, the giant schnauzer from next door, came over, so they've been running around and playing and all of that great stuff. There's beef rib in the oven for tonight. 1 board meeting to get through, and then today will have also been smashed, as one must do. What is coming up this week in the landscape of independent media here at the Independents? On Wednesday, I think I'm going to do a deep dive into this ICE facility that they want to build out in Merrimack. Freestaters should not be championing the building of a prison by the federal government in New Hampshire. So I think we need to shift our thinking on that one. So I'm going to do a deep dive into what it's going to cost. Here's what you do need to know. They are trying to build a place that can house 600 people at a time. And if you're foolish enough to think that is going to be immigrants and not problem children, then, I think you need to go read your history a little better. So on Wednesday, deep dive into this ICE facility that the federales are trying to build in New Hampshire. I think all Free Staters should be able to agree that we do not want an expansion of the federal government in our great state. On Thursday, I am hoping to interview Melissa Blasek. She's been doing, a lot of the health freedom work. She has been championing some really good legislation up at the State House. We had some Free Staters, unfortunately, vote against a full non-mandate for vaccines in New Hampshire. So we had a bill that was up that could have gone through. We called a roll call vote. And there were some disappointing votes there as well. So, sadly, the thing that is happening is, as it is with politics, is you end up having to keep your friends' feet to the fire. So that's a good thing in the sense that we are influential enough so that, there are big decisions being made, but also politics is the ring. It is corrupting. And, if you're going to tout yourself as a property rights expert like Travis Cochran has been doing and has been pimped out for the upcoming LPNH convention happening in March, then, I expect you to take the right votes, including understanding what self-ownership is and that you, sir, do not own my body and do not get to mandate according to your risk profile. Just because you're scared of polio, you don't own other people. All right. So that's a little bit of community drama. What else is coming up this week? I'm going to be going through our brilliant newsletter in a hot second and give you guys the update on what's happening for Liberty Forum. 2 things you should know. I will be doing 2 talks at Liberty Forum. One is part of the dialogue series that Jason Sorens, of course, our founder, has put together for this conference this year. That will be, what should Free Staters be measuring? And the question is, what do we care about in New Hampshire? I went off a little bit this weekend. We had a whole bunch of people over at the Quill, and we were hanging out after Market Day, which of course takes place usually on the 3rd Wednesday of every month at the Quill. We have a big CSA with Barta Farm. I source most of my meat from them. There are other vendors that come. I got a really good little tincture. People have various things. Someone had some ponzoli, I believe. And I was lamenting as we were all hanging out towards the end of the day that Freestaters should really know more about New Hampshire. Then first of all, you should definitely know more about New Hampshire than you know about the federal government. So if you know all the details and all the stories about the Epstein stuff, which, is great, fine, allowed, but then you should also know what is going on with the YDC scandal here in Manchester, New Hampshire, that is going to end up costing the state, i.e. you, about $500 million to $1 billion. So huge scandal right here. You don't have to go find it with the weirdos in DC and in the swamp. We got our own problems in our own backyard. But the good news is we picked well, guys. We picked well. What do I mean? I'm sure everyone is watching what is going on down in Puerto Vallarta, which is where Anarchapulco moved from Ackchyually to Puerto Vallarta this year. I have gone to at least 3 or 4 of these events over the years. I have some good friends down there. Catherine Bleish is one of the organizers, has always been good, allies with the Free State Project. We trade off sponsorships from time to time. Anyway, long story short, I didn't have time to go this year, but many Free Staters are down there. The Noons, Laura Noon, who runs a lot of programs out of Henniker, Aaron Day, who might be a spoiler, so keep your eye on that one, to try and force some strategic political capital gains. I don't mean it as financing, but some gains for us. So the reason I said in the title, New Hampshire is actually the bestest place, is because what we're seeing in Puerto Vallarta, which of course there is a battle going on between the cartels and the military. There are churches are burning. People are locked down in their hotel rooms. There is food currently, but apparently that looks like it's running out. Restaurants are closing down. Most people who are in big name hotels are sort of hankering down where they are, but other people I saw have been tweeting, have said, well, we've had to take to the streets because our place doesn't have food. So it seems dangerous. At least 60 people, I believe, have died. There was the capturing or the execution of the cartel boss, whose name I can't remember. But anyway, all I'm saying is this is a conference, Anarchapulco, taking place there in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta, and it's dangerous. I mean, it does matter where you live and who you are surrounded by and whether you're allowed to personally carry firearms, et cetera, et cetera. And so just by way of comparison, the crime rate in Concord, New Hampshire, where Liberty Forum is taking place in 11 days, has had 1 homicide in a decade. Let me repeat that. There has been 1 murder in Concord, New Hampshire in the past 10 years. It's actually 10 plus years. So my point is New Hampshire is extremely safe. New Hampshire has one of the highest qualities of living in the actual world, by the way. There was an old article from the Mises Wire years ago that did a comparison between the per capita wealth of Granite Staters, of people in New Hampshire, and it's up there with like Switzerland and Luxembourg and that kind of stuff. And so that is the reminder for people who are like sniffing around the Free State Project or curious what we're doing up here. The value proposition is that it is a great place to live with awesome, decent people, and it is extremely safe, and it will continue to be that way because, thanks in part to Free Staters back in 2017, I think, if I have my years right, help pass constitutional carry. This is a constitutional carry state. In New Hampshire, you can in fact carry your firearm into a school to go vote. That is how seriously we take it. Our state reps still carry at the state house. And so why is that important? Because again, looking at what's going on in Puerto Vallarta, you can't outsource your safety to other people. The police can't help you when shit is really going down. So back to Liberty Forum. What should we be measuring in New Hampshire is one of my talks at the dialogue series. I want everyone to come. My questions to you are, do you think it's material to be measuring how many Somalis live in New Hampshire, or how many autists live in New Hampshire, or how many nuclear reactors we have here, how many clubhouses have opened, maybe how many court cases have been won? Maybe we should be measuring how much money, time, treasure different people have been donating to the Free State Project. So, I really am trying to entice people to get excited about that conversation, because I think we have to start thinking like the victors, which means we need to measure things so that we are telling the story of what we have built here in New Hampshire. And the story I'm going to tell has to do with building federal prisons. Okay, so let's start putting we are sovereign humans building a free state hat on, please. The other talk I'll be doing at Liberty Forum is about the crypto hostages. That will be a panel discussion with Bonnie Freeman, of course, the wife of Ian Freeman, who is currently incarcerated, got caught up in Operation Choke Point. He is in maybe year 2 of a 9-year sentence. We'll be talking about, the Samurai Wallet guys. Angela McArdle will be joining us as well. So we will talk about the Ross Ulbricht story. So that is also a panel discussion coming up at Liberty Forum. I am now going to deep dive into, with the screen share, into our newsletter, the fantastic newsletter that Eric brings out every Sunday. Let me see if I can figure out my screen share here. We're going to do this. We're going, I believe, here. Yes, let's see. Does that look about right? It does. That's exciting. All right, so let's dive in here. This, of course, is our newsletter. It comes out every Sunday. If you are not getting this, please go to our website, fsp.org, and sign up for the newsletter. It's a great way to know what's happening. Here you would have known it is 11 days until Liberty Forum. Will you be in the room? I think this could be a really pivotal Liberty Forum for us. So, if you want to be making history, this is the right kind of history. It's easy to make like disaster history. Let's make some success history, which of course is what we're doing here in the Free State. All right, so it's 11 days until we get to Liberty Forum. Will you be in the room? You can click right there to go and buy your tickets today. So don't wait. You can use the Pork Post as your code for a 5% discount. All right, so maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but dunk, dunk, dunk. Tom Woods is actually going to be our VIP speaker on Saturday evening. That, of course, is the big dinner at the culmination at the end of Liberty Forum. And I should not forget, on the Sunday, the last day of Liberty Forum, we are doing we did it last year as well. We're doing this big social brunch at the Quill, of course, the oldest, longest running Liberty Clubhouse here in New Hampshire. It's been around since 2010, I believe. So it's been a hot second. And we are doing we called it a ladies brunch, if I remember correctly, but the gentlemen are welcome too. We had great noms last year. It was a really fun time. So that is the Sunday of Liberty Forum. And I'm pretty sure if you go to the website, you can kind of sign up for that as an extra. But as I mentioned, on Saturday night, our VIP keynote delivery will be by Tom Woods, the veritable Tom Woods. And of course, Scott Horton also coming. Scott will be talking about Defend the Guard efforts. There will be other people, legislators who've been working hard on these issues. Some other distinguished liberty builders who are coming, of course, our friend Matt and Terry Kibbe from We the People have been doing great work with us over the years. Also Jim Babka, Julia Cartwright, Jeremy Corden, Dr. Michael Chiampi, and all kinds of other interesting speakers. And of course, really the important part, come hear from the Freestaters, the people who are making the difference and truly building a better future. All right, so here you can see we've got Tom Woods at the VIP dinner keynote. He will be talking about the dozen strategies that don't work and the one that does. I'm curious to know. I'm hoping the one that does, of course, is the Free State. We are not in the experimental phase anymore. We are in the, hey, we're kind of doing it. We have been doing it. It's actually working. Maybe the naysayers just need to get off their duffs and get to New Hampshire while the going is still good. While I say while the going is still good, what do I mean by that? I would be remiss if I don't tell you, I am a real estate agent at Porcupine Real Estate here in West Manchester, and now actually expanding to the northern part of the state too. We are sponsors at Liberty Forum this year, have been for many years. In fact, Mark Warden, who is a 4-time, 5-time state rep now, he has been a staunch supporter of the organization since back in 2008, 2009. And so we will be there with our presence, of course, at Porcupine Real Estate, as well as Ledgeview Commercial at Liberty Forum. Delighted to be exhibiting and doing all of that. So if you are curious about the Free State, if you're thinking about buying, I hear from many clients and many people who are asking around and starting to look at options that, amongst other things, because of this repeal of the interest and dividends tax that we did, Free Staters working together with other Republicans up at the State House, we got interest and dividends to zero, which means that now, even if you live in a fairly low tax state, I think places like Minnesota and so on, it is economically viable to actually move your domicile to New Hampshire because of the tax advantages. And also New Hampshire has very good trust laws, and that is something that is probably something you should look into. Now, for the handful of people who might not know who Tom Woods is, he, of course, is a significant intellectual influencer. He had a strong influence on me, on Eric, many people in the Free State. He has a couple of books, Meltdown, there's Nullification. He has a lot of strategies, Tom does, about, really trying to build alternatives and look at things from a sort of more entrepreneurial perspective and not just sitting around and complaining, which, of course, the whole idea of the Free State Project is to actually come do stuff, right? It's easy to be a critic. It's hard to be a creator. But if you want to create, this is the place to come do it. It was also very cool, as you can see here on the screen, the 100th episode of Eric's Report, the Porcupine Report, 100 episodes, was Tom telling Eric he is moving to New Hampshire. I think the timeline is a little stretchier than we might hope, but there are children and schooling and those kinds of things. But the beauty of it all is Tom is not a fan of the Florida weather, and he is from this area. So I know we will see him up here, but maybe in 5 years, but you don't have to wait that long because you can see him at Liberty Forum, which starts on March 5th. March 5th is what? Not that long away. Please go to Liberty Forum's website and buy your tickets now. Here's Scott Horton. He will be the keynote on March 6th. That's on the Friday. And he will be talking about building freedom from the war machine. So your time is running out to grab your Liberty Forum tickets. So please, please, please go do that today. Here's some of the freedom builders. Here's my little talk with Bonnie, I mentioned, and Angela McArdle. What is the worth of a libertarian prisoner set free? I think that's an interesting framing. Over here, we have rebuilding the freedom to build housing. We'll be talking about nuclear. You know, New Hampshire has come out with a strong nuclear position. We, of course, already have one nuclear reactor here. And the governor, Kelly Ayotte, has an appetite to expand it. So I think that could be really, really, really radically good for New Hampshire. And of course, it is a position I have been championing from day one, from when I moved to New Hampshire back in 2008. And so it's really exciting to see other people getting on board finally. Jim Babka will be on the main stage on Saturday. He will be talking about restoring America's libertarian anti-ideology, whatever that might mean. Of course, Rep. Jason Osborne, main stage on Friday. Rules for reformed radicals, that should be interesting. You know, again, we are at the stage, the growth stage, where, you know what, you got to keep the politicians accountable. There are differences, right? Yes, we're all Freestaters. Yes, we're all moving towards a sort of hopeful, built out liberty future, but that does not involve things like ice, baby. You know, and it's just, I mean, it's frustrating to see. All right, we got Jeremy Corden. He will be talking about build alternatives to central bank digital currencies. That should be an interesting talk. Of course, Aaron Day, one of our early movers and a former board member here at the Free State Project, very interested in that sort of topic too. So if you're not following him on X, I would recommend that. And actually, that's where I've been getting a lot of my scoop on what's going on in Anarchapulco, in Puerto Vallarta, because that's where he's been. And last but not least, here we've got Dr. Michael Chiampi. He is doing Fire the Middleman, rebuilding the direct doctor-patient relationship. As someone who's a big health freedom proponent, totally behind that, right? We all know getting the middleman out of most things, usually better for your pricing, for your actual customer service, and all of those great things. So as I mentioned, the Dialogues series run by Jason Sorens. It's basically liberty in practice. Again, I'm asking, what should Free Staters be measuring? And I really want to hear from you guys, because I think that's going to build out the roadmap for where we go. Here's some other ones that are coming up. Vanessa Ramos, how should a free society handle mental illness and drug addiction? Valid question. I think it's fair to say basically the entire COVID response was mental illness. And I would say the number one thing I'm not down with is supporting people's fear psychosis. All right, Jay Noon will be doing What Can We Learn About Self-Reliance from Homesteaders? He's always a great speech, always a great talk. They are, I believe, still also stuck in Mexico, but hopefully all of this will shake out. Seamus O'Scally, he has run for office a few times in Wolfboro, currently on the Free State Project board. He will talk about, is gaining financial independence the most important thing you can do for freedom? I mean, having money doesn't hurt, right, guys? So I do think many of us could be doing a better job on that particular topic. So it'll be interesting to hear from him. Further, we have Eric doing, should Northern Maine join Greater New Hampshire? Yes, yes, it should. Love that idea. Going to actually start to get behind it seriously. I'm hoping to make that talk. Christina Majorca, probably saying that wrong. Should Puerto Rico leave the U.S.? I'm going to say probably yes, right? That we want more places with more decentralization, kind of stop this overarching, overpowerful federal government. So that should be an interesting one too. So 2 dialogue series on independence from a different perspective. Last 2, Ilana Blumsack. She will be doing what is the best way to fund local government. And then last but not least, Adam McGuire, who actually was my first client with Porcupine Real Estate, where I started a couple of years ago. What do people need to know before moving to New Hampshire? So that's great to see someone who moved here. He moved from Maine with his wife and 2 wonderful little daughters, and they hit the ground running. Been amazing to see. All right, there's still opportunities to build freedom at Liberty Forum. Here we have our champion sponsors, of course, Chainstone Labs, FSB DAC. Goldback has come back to support us. Thank you. These are our champions. We have our friend supporters, local Silver Mint. Of course, that's Silver Dave. He too is down, trapped in Puerto Vallarta at the moment. We've got Bring Our Troops Home, Melanie Gibson, Realtor, AFP New Hampshire, and Free Ian. And if you haven't signed the Free Ian Now petition, please go do that. freeiannow.org. We have our Granite sponsors, Porcupine Real Estate, as I mentioned, Alt Expo, and then last but not least, because these are the Freestaters doing cool things on the ground, are our sort of community exhibitors. We have Yale, we have Latitude Learning, which is a charter school down in Nashua, Think Penguin, there's Porcupine Properties, Independence Realty Group, Club 75 Alliance, which, by the way, if you did not catch my show, The Independence After Hours, a couple of weeks ago, you can find that on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Carla Gericke TV. But I interviewed the author of the Club 75 Alliance Manifesto, Steve Valet, and he has some really interesting ideas about how New Hampshire could become more independent and get rid of at least federal income taxes. There's Granite Legacy Homes, Bradley Smith Charitable Trust. Last but not least, of course, our friends at the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. You should start looking out for their dinner in July. Tickets will probably go on sale in a little bit. And Bare Minimum Books, that of course is Ian Underwood from Croydon, with a lot of brilliant, just small, smart little books. All right, if you want to sponsor, you can, of course, go click on the links in the newsletter. All right, what else can I tell you quickly? The Porcupine Patron Program. This is a really great way to support Freestaters. It's becoming like our little, this porcupine is becoming like our little, hey, if you know, you know, gang, well, I don't want to say gang sign, but the sign, you know, you see it around and it's nice to know, and it's kind of a nudge, nudge, wink, wink, without having to be so overt. Let's see, we got some events coming up at the Shell. I will say Sunday that just passed, actually that was yesterday on the 22nd, there was an ice cream social. And next Saturday coming up is a Texas Hold'em, some board games, the acoustics. So if you're reading this, you're invited. Wonderful. All right, we've got new movers potluck parties. Of course, the Quill has been doing new movers parties at the Quill for as long as the Free State Project has been around, or as long as the new movers parties have been around. We have a bunch of them all over the state now, more regional. And then there are all these local meetups that you can follow. You can also, of course, just click on this Liberty calendar, where you can see what is happening on any given day. You know, everything from a conspiracy theory group to, you know, whatever. All right, so let's see if I can go back here and make sure we're sharing the right tab. This was a good episode, guys. If you're not following the content I'm creating, where I am trying to tell us the story of what Freestaters are doing in the Free State, and watching and learning and also building the alliances with the locals. So this was a fantastic episode last week with Daniel Richard, a Granite Stater. I'm a Granite Stater too now. And he is very knowledgeable about the New Hampshire Constitution, the different things. It can be a little nerdy. It can be a little granular, but brilliant, brilliant man who has come up with this great strategy, which is, psst, you got to file a tax abatement before March 1st. They're probably not going to give it to you, but I believe we are building a body of people who will form a class action suit to be like, no, we're going to do something about our property taxes now because the school budgets are out of control. Where can you find that episode? You can find it right there in the newsletter, or you can find it on my YouTube channel, Carla Gericke TV. So that's a Save Our Schools strategy. It's a property tax revolt. And here was Eric on with Sean Tima from Young Americans for Liberty. So you can be watching all this. You can see Eric doing his testimony up at the State House. Here was a lot of news from the Free State. There was a political article about Kelly Ayotte. State announces car inspections are not needed in New Hampshire anymore. Thank you to everyone who made that happen. There's, input on energy bills, on education bills, all of that. Of course, here we can see Seen in the Free State. That looks like a nice meetup. I see Sam Farrington there, and of course, one of the Fenton children. So wonderful to see young students at UNH, I believe. Yes, at the University of New Hampshire, being welcomed in. This is proof that we've gotten a lot of snow, and it looks a lot worse than this now, but this too shall pass. Here we've got some Free State folks who showed up for the Defend the Guard. Nice mix of Free Staters there. Little duck coming in for a hard landing on the ice in the pond. This was Taproom Tuesday from last week. Of course, there we have Pedro and his girlfriend, Jane. They've been doing really great work to build out the outreach. So, and then Bill and Gail, who just received the first inaugural Live Free and Thrive Award a couple of weeks ago on the 3rd of February for Porcupine Day. And it was really my deep pleasure and joy and gratitude to be able to bestow that on them, because so worthy. All right, so here are some upcoming events. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can see there are hundreds. Taproom Tuesday, not hundreds, but many. Taproom Tuesday at Murphy's Carriage House tomorrow. We have all the regular sort of stuff. Go look, find out, see what's happening at your club. And remember that I am always looking for guests for our shows here as we build out more tailored content from the Free State about what is happening. So that is from the newsletter. Now, let me see. I did want to show you guys a couple of other things just very briefly, and then I got to get ready for my next board meeting. Thank you all for staying for this. First, I want to share this. Here is my website, just to really remind people that I am creating daily content. So some of it is this series, this AI and I series that will, some of it's tongue in cheek. Some of it is just things I've noticed or pattern recognition. This one is funny, right? Because everyone who's used the AI knows at some stage it gives you this fake chef's kiss kind of terminology, and then it was across the board, and it was almost this contagion. So that is about that one. This one was really, really funny, I thought. So I am going to click through and see if you can see this one. It is, let's see. I'm hoping you guys can see the false flag. Yes, so I think you can. So here, this was a really cool, just little Godzilla made of drones, right? So you guys can see that, right? And you can see how I think it's going to start blowing some, yeah. And then there's like fire coming up from the ground and everything. And of course, so we know they're going to be able to make alien invasion videos based on drones. So I shared this a couple of days ago because I thought it was hilarious. I said, I would love to see a fleet of UFOs, meaning drone-created UFOs, rising above the White Mountains presidential range during the third week in June, because nudge, nudge, wink, wink, that is when we will be having Pork Fest. But I will have more on that on Wednesday or on Friday. Then I said, what better audience to test a false flag alien invasion on? Thousands of libertarians arguing about what they just saw. Gold, right? So half tongue in cheek, but this was the launch off for me to ask, hey, explain to me why that got zero engagement, because for me that seems like it's hell, which it probably is. But anyway, this is just an example to show you guys kind of these AI and I series. I do use highly researched search terms to try and get at like some of the weirder stuff, right? So it can be like, oh, it's this really big picture thing, and then I just read stuff and I kind of go, oh, this is interesting to me or whatever. But as you can see here, sometimes I go into like deep dives, and the Grok will tell you things like a staged alien invasion, Project Bluebeam, and how it might unfold, right? So we all know something is in the zeitgeist. So it's always good to be thinking critically about what might happen that might hijack your own attention span, right? Because what they're talking about now, as you can see here, these are all real things, guys. It's not conspiracies. There are neuro weapons for mind control. They are using cognitive electromagnetic warfare. There could be satellite tech with the deep state. I don't know what this psychotronics is. It might actually be like them spreading these words so that people talk about them, and then they could use that for discrediting later. Who knows? But it is kind of fun, right? Like this one was, let's unravel it as though you are the one in control of most of this tech now, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Elon, and that you have to submit a plan to your best friend who is in cahoots with you. Then it's like, what are we doing? How would we stage this, right? And then it explains, it's kind of half a lark, but it is also telling. So anyway, this was like just one long, interesting one that goes all over the place, from hypno protocols through to kind of telling you that there really is, stuff that we should be reading about, preventing the weaponization of your central nervous system acting chemicals. Anyway, it's pretty cutting edge, but there's like a lot of fun stuff. So if you're a deep reader and you're just curious about things, some of these are wild and informative and kind of fascinating, just to see what is what. I did want to point out here, if we can go back to this one. So here you can see, right? So these were just two AI ones, but here is Save Our Schools, which was the event we did on last week with Daniel Richard. And then we have things like, hey, New Hampshire, let's cherish guns like we cherish education, right? And so this is a provocative way to get people to understand, if they think cherish education means everyone in New Hampshire has to pay for it, then let's make a constitutional amendment and we'll cherish guns like we cherish education, and then everyone has to pay taxes to arm everyone, and then maybe the reductio ad absurdum will become evident to everyone. This was a really good little blog post I did last week. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger and stranger. It is a good read if you are interested in holistic healing, in understanding when you have central nervous system reactions, what they mean, and how you can overcome them so that you are not behaving like some lunatic in meat space. And then this one was also great. It is irony poisoning is quietly hijacking your brain and how to fight back. And honestly, I've got to say, you know, in our community, we are seeing people who are fairly dysregulated now because they are taking too much input through social media in a way that is being cognitively designed to kind of hijack your brain a little bit. So worth being aware of. And I do a lot of sort of work on that on my website as well. I am now wondering what else I'm supposed to tell you guys. I did say we would do a little deep dive into who these protesters are going to be at Liberty Forum. So let me see if I can find that little summary. Was it here? Yes. So, okay, let me see if I can share this one with everyone. So we'll go back here, and I will go here, and I will go here. And let's see. So in the newsletter or somewhere there was included this sort of conversation about during Liberty Forum, there is going to be these 4 organizations: Kent Street Coalition, Southern New Hampshire Indivisible, 501 or 50501, and then Granite State Matters. So they put out a little tweet that basically said they're going to come protest on the 5th of March from 2:30 to 3:30 at the State House. Will be a peaceful, nonviolent protest against the Free State Project's agenda. And that will be coinciding with the start of Liberty Forum. And I was like, okay, so well, one of the things that's funny to me is the flyer criticizes Freestaters for allegedly supporting the Merrimack ice facility. And I was like, no, see, this is where it gets interesting, because not all Freestaters do and not all Freestaters don't. But I do think if you're a consistent, principled Freestater, you are not encouraging the growth of the federal government in the state of New Hampshire. And that is the first principle. I don't care what goes on beyond there, because I can assure you 600 beds sounds like those are beds for porcupines and not for immigrants. All right, or both, like me. All right, so I was like, okay, so who are these people? So Kent Street Coalition is an all-volunteer progressive grassroots advocacy group founded in December 2016 in Concord, New Hampshire. Their funding sources as all-volunteer network. Looks like they're not really funded. I think this is sort of like a bunch of grannies getting together and trying to contribute. Southern New Hampshire Indivisible, that one I was kind of interested in because I was like, oh, that's interesting branding as someone who's an open independence person. So according to this, it's only one of over 2,000 indivisible groups nationwide. Their funding comes from a 501c3 and an indivisible action PAC, which received significant donations. So again, see, these are the things we should know and care about in New Hampshire. Not, I mean, I guess you could care about who went to Epstein's Island, but you can bring your attention closer to home, and there's just as much drama and malfeasance and dirty tricks and backroom deals and all of it. So bring your attention closer to home and help us build the free state by making sure we are dealing with the enemies of liberty correctly. So this one was the 50501. NH 50501 is the national branch of 50 protests, 50 states, one movement. So that's probably also, I don't know if that was spun up against Trump, but no, it looks like they've been opposing us for a long time. Fully grassroots and independent with no centralized funding or donors mentioned. That is not to say we shouldn't have maybe little files on all these people, and kind of, if they're going to watch us, maybe we watch them back a little harder. And then, of course, Granite State Matters, which is part of Granite State Progress. They've been around for a long time. They do booklets and little hit pieces and propaganda and lies, and the level of inaccuracy is almost embarrassing. But they are funded by specific donors. But definitely there is funding that comes in for those guys. So I thought it would be helpful to have just a general quick oversight of, who these folks are that will be protesting the start of Liberty Forum at the State House, not actually at the hotel where we will be. But, as they say, the saying is know thy enemy. I don't actually regard any of these people truly as my enemy. I think that everyone is capable of having a conversation and holding difficult paradoxes in their head. And frankly, if you cannot do that, you might be in a binary outrage algorithm mind control loop, but that is a conversation for another day. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. My genuine, earnest wish is for everyone who is in Puerto Vallarta, in any kind of danger or in a difficult situation, or just scared or confused or locked down, or, you don't have to be in imminent danger, but it's certainly a stressful situation. We are sending our love and good thoughts from the Free State. And if you're just jumping on to find out what's going on, that was a very comprehensive one. Thank you for joining me. And I will see everyone back on Wednesday for the Independence from the Public Access Studio. And then again on Friday evening, after hours. I believe my guest this week is Daniel Rothschild. So we'll see how that goes. And if you would like to be a guest on my after hours show, please do reach out to me. You can always reach me at carla@carlagericke.com. And I wish everyone peace, love, and understanding. And I will see you guys again Wednesday.